News you can trust. This is South Vermillion Middle School News.
Brenda Godfrey and Elliot Barnett.
Joseph Watts and Mia Turchi.
This is your weekly news.
Good afternoon, Wildcats. I'm Brindley Godfrey.
And I'm Elliot Barnett.
And welcome to WCMS News.
We will start off this newscast congratulating the band and choir kids on a great concert last week.
We will also want to congratulate the track team for a good season as well. Counting today, we only have 8 days left of school.
We will now send it over to Mr. Kilgore with the fact of the week.
On this day in 1972, the Japanese were rewarded with Okinawa after losing it to the United States in World War II.
Now let's send it over to Joseph, who will share more about this week's survey.
We asked the students of SBMS a few different questions. Our first question we asked was Phineas or Ferb. Ferb took home the win with 58% of the votes. I'm not really much of a Phineas and fan Ferb, more like a Cuphead one. I mean, I do like Netflix. Next we asked SpongeBob or Patrick. SpongeBob won this battle with 58% of the vote as well. I mean, I like SpongeBob, but more or less. Lastly, we asked Bluey or Bingo. Once again, the main character won this debate with Bluey taking home 62% of the votes. And I do not like Bluey at all.
Thanks, Joseph, for those results. Now we will send it over to Mia for this week's weather.
The weather this week is going to be warm and cloudy with highs of 77 degrees and lows of 49 degrees. There are chances of thunderstorms towards the end of the week and a few showers.
Now let's send it over to Drew with shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts. What'd you rest? A different version of you exists in everyone you know's minds. The Earth is flat, so why isn't the edge of the Earth a tourist attraction? The object of golf is to play the least amount of golf.
Thank you. Earlier this week, we interviewed our counselor, Mrs. McLean.
To become our school counselor. Honestly, I never thought about school counseling until Mrs. Coleman and Mrs. Harris approached me when Mrs. Coleman was moving to Florida. I had a lot of questions for Mrs. Harris, and she basically just broke the job down to me, and she trusted me with the position, so I was willing to take the challenge on. In the last year and a half, I've really enjoyed my transition out of the classroom to being up here. It's a way that I can meet and serve all the students in the building, and I've really enjoyed it.
What is your favorite science topic?
Out of the branches of science, I really enjoy life sciences, so like ecosystems and biomes and things like that would probably be my favorite.
What is your favorite science experiment?
This one is tough because as my 6th grade science class, I loved all the different activities that we did. One of my favorites was the Walking Dead lab, when we would then graph speed and velocity. I really enjoyed the cranberry unit and learning how they are uniquely grown and how they take so long to grow for Thanksgiving meals. But my absolute favorite is the sewer lice experiment or lab day, introducing what living things are and kind of convincing our middle school students that sewer lice help cure world hunger in big cities by living in the sewers. So it was always a fun day in my classroom.
What is it like to put up with Mr. McLean every day?
Well, girls, it's an adventure. Every day is different. But just like his classroom, although he doesn't wear his tie around the house, he is always going around looking for rocks and picking them up just around the property, and he brings them home. And they are always laying around for me to pick up and put away. But he's basically exactly what you see in the classroom. You never know what you're going to get out of him for the day.
Who was your favorite Cubs player?
This is the toughest question to narrow down to one. But currently, I would say Dansby Swanson and Cody Bellinger. But neither one are the face of the Cubs because they're both new to the team this year. And so anyone who knows my history with the Cubs know that I love Chris Bryant, even though he is now a Rocky. But for years, he has been my favorite. However, there's so many, just actual great players over the years that I've had the opportunity to meet that I really enjoy they played in the 80s and 90s when I was a kid. So if you're ever interested in talking about the Cubs, I'm more than willing to sit down and to have a little chat with you.
That's a wrap for this week's WCMS broadcast. I'm not Alicia Gwynn.
And I am Elliot Barnett. We will now end this week's program with our classmates giving us the best jokes.
Someone who can unlock the door! The weather this week is going to be warm and...